Okay, well, hello, and thank you for joining today's webinar. My name is Johnny Freeman. I'm Pozotron's Senior Customer Support Manager, also joined by Adam Fritz, our wonderful CEO. And today we will be walking you through Pozotron Studio's script preparation tools, which are tools designed to help streamline and simplify the production process and help you research and get ready for a project, as well as help you all the way through it. We'll be showing you today in this webinar how by doing prep can actually help in the proofing stage and the post-production stage as well. But today is a masterclass, so I will be covering the basic functionality of our script prep tools, but we will be taking our time with each one, going through all of the additional features, the customizations you can do, and workflow specific features you might need. So it'll be pretty jam packed. And yeah, excited that you're here. Hopefully you learned something. So the agenda. Oh, go ahead, Adam.
Sorry, just to remind, Johnny is going to cover it in the agenda, so never mind. I was just going to make a reminder on the Q&A box.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to that. But just say it now. So yeah, we love to answer your questions live. It's fun and engaging, and also it seems to help everybody else in the webinar. So if you do have a question, don't hesitate to ask it as we go through this. Just make sure to use the Q&A box because that makes it easy for us to see that a question's waiting, and we'll answer it right away. We will have time at the end if there's some extra questions, but yeah, don't hesitate to put them in the Q&A box. But the agenda. So we're going to do a script prep overview. That's going to cover the pronunciation guide, the character voices guide, and the export marked script tools. These are the three main prep tools. So I'll be covering the basic functionality there, and like I said, going into detail in each one. And then we're going to be showing you how some additional features. So Script Sync will show how you can use the research you've done in the prep stage to expedite your proofing stage and post-production. Along that line, we'll be showing you the Scan Occurrences tool, which is a post-production tool, but it's a part of the package of script prep tools. So if you use our prep tools, you will have access to this tool. That's a really powerful tool as well. The custom dictionaries, so how to kind of build your own Pozotron database with all of your research words and characters that you've researched in all of your previous projects, as well as project sharing and how that data is used, or how you can use that data again and again. Be covering the profile settings just to make things a little bit easier for you, and also a what's next category. So Adam will be talking about our development roadmap and what we have planned for the script prep tools in the near future. So kind of a lot to go through today, so should probably get started. And with that, let me pull up Pozotron. Make sure I have that ready. Okay, so we'll get started. And the very first tool I'll be walking you through today is a very powerful tool, the pronunciation guide. So pull up Pozotron and actually walk you through the basic workflow of using these tools. So Adam, can you see my screen? Just making sure. Sweet.
You had to ask right in the middle of a sip of my tea. Yes.
Saw my time to pounce. Okay, so I'm going to go into a project here with a fresh project. So the way our pronunciation guide works is when you upload a script to Pozotron, it's going to process it, and one of the processing steps is to scan every single word in your script and compile a suggestions list for you. And this suggestions list is going to be composed of three main categories of words. So I can open that suggestions list by clicking Open Suggestions here. And this is going to show me capitalized rare words. So the first thing it's going to find are unique proper nouns, names of people, places, cities. If it's a sci-fi book, an alien race. If it's a fantasy book, the Elvish capital city or something like that, it'll catch all of those words. It'll also catch just regular complex words. So these are standard English words that Pozotron is deemed complicated in some way. And there's a couple ways we actually determine that. First, we had narrators go through a list of 150,000 words and rate them simple or complex. So any of those complex ones will be pulled onto this list. We also analyze the individual characters in a word, and based off of three-letter combinations, we will pull in the complicated ones there or the difficult to pronounce words. Also, any words not recognized in the primary language of your book. So if your book is in English, if it sees something that doesn't look like English or isn't recognizable as English, it will pull it into this foreign category here. And the list is, we would recommend the first place to start when you're doing your prep. And you're going to want to go through each one of these and tell Pozotron if you want to research it or ignore it. And before I actually go through the list, an important setting that's kind of an advanced feature that you might not know about is the sensitivity slider here. And this is going to, looks like we have a question. Dan, please review how to bring recurring character descriptions into a new book. Absolutely will. That's a great suggestion. So once we get to our character guide, I'll show you how to do that. But back to the sensitivity slider. So what this will do is allow you, based on your vocabulary, determine what kind of words are going to show up on the list here. And there's a category for complex, as well as foreign here. For complex, I have it set to show me as many words as possible, but that means it's going to grab some words that might not be as complicated as others. If I move this down to fewer, see this complex number here is at 20. If I move this down closer to the bottom, I hit save. See, it actually dropped it down to 1 here, and so I'm only seeing more complicated words. So depending on how you want to use Pozotron, you can mess with this sensitivity slider, and that can speed up your suggestions list section of this. But the way our tool works, the basic functionality is if I click add to research list on any word from my suggestions list, it's going to pull it over to the right-hand side, and that is interesting that it didn't find this word. Well, this is a bit funny because these are usually found.
Oh, I think we turned off the new feature, would be most likely that it's no longer auto-populating, would be my guess.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so this is a setting that I guess I I haven't fully figured out myself either. So let's
I may have been doing some testing with it as possible.
no
So
problem.
go in. So you need to go into end.
No, it's right in here. Yep. So these are actually a couple of new features. Perfect segue into these settings here. So in your profile, there actually are settings that can influence how your project works. So you can see I have disable automatic population of pronunciation data from online dictionaries turned on. So this is if you only want to go off of if you want to manually research words, you don't want to pull in the first thing it finds from Merriam-Webster, you can actually turn this on and it'll stop doing that. So I'm going to hit update here. And if I go back to my project, let's re-research these words. So here's another advanced feature. If you would like it to re-research it, there's a little circle arrow button here. I can just click update research word and we can see it actually pulled in the pronunciations from Merriam-Webster now. And that is going to pull in the phonetic spelling as well as a recording.
Algorithm.
And the reason we created that, we did a survey through all of our, I guess, lack of a better term, beta tester group. And if you do want to be part of that group, we do surveys, we do some focus groups and other things. Please email us at help@pozotron.com and we'll add you to the list. We actually had a couple pieces of feedback where we do not, so people would get incorrect responses from the API dictionaries. We have no control over when we send. So an example is Alice. The name Alice with Oxford. If you add the name Alice, make sure it's set to Oxford first, Johnny. Or here, yeah.
I'll just show.
It's okay.
Oxford
just go in the
as well.
cloud.
Yep.
Oxford sends us the response back. Alice band.
Alice
Right.
band.
We don't control what Oxford sends us. However, that's a problem, obviously. If all of a sudden you send this, say it's a production company, they put all this together, that goes to the narrator, and the narrator says Alice band in Wonderland. That's a problem, obviously an extreme example. So one customer reached out to us and asked if they could disable the automatic population because what they were finding is their proofers were going through, and as soon as there was anything added in that phonetics column, they would just assume it was right. So the first step of this is people can actually disable that auto population to force the people on their project to go do it manually. They can still use the API, click on the cloud icon and go listen to the and choose the correct pronunciation. But that was that was the first step. We are also adding some validation as much as we can to actually get the quality of the or to verify the quality of what we're getting from the dictionaries. So there's a bunch of things in progress because we understand that it is very easy to default to, hey, any technology, not just Positron, got a result, must be right. Good old technology, which is why with anything in AI, you should always, put that extra level of human attention on it. But that is why we rolled out that feature. Long,
Yep.
convoluted way to describe what should have taken 15 words.
Well, it's a good explanation. Yeah, and part of that, which I believe, Adam, you might talk about in what's coming next, will be if you get something like this.
Alice.
Oh, it actually grabbed the right one there. But if it says Alice band or something wrong, there will be a way for you to report that as well and say incorrect, pronunciation here, and that's going to be a part of that. But that's another advanced feature which I wanted to highlight is this cloud button. So this is a really powerful um, button here. It's basically going to show you everything that Positron was able to find across all of our integrated dictionaries. So you'll see Merriam-Webster, Oxford US, Oxford GB, and then a lot of entries from Forvo, which is one of the most useful parts of this cloud button is for each one of these Forvo entries, you'll actually see the region of the world that it was uploaded from, which allows you to have access to different dialects and accents for different words. So you can check out a whole bunch of different examples. And to Adam's point, if you do turn off the automatic population here, this does force you to use this cloud button to check multiple sources and make sure you end up with the best pronunciation source for that entry. So very useful there. All right, I'm going to pull up our slide to remind myself what else to talk about because there's many different features here. So the sensitivity settings we covered, word categories. The next thing I'm going to show you is the hotkeys. So this is a really great way to quickly research. And I will say, using our pronunciation guide, it is recommended that you clear out this entire suggestions list with adding to research or ignoring. It opens up the door to some other good features, but it also helps you keep track of your project. But our hotkeys, and interestingly enough, we updated our UI. Adam, do you know where the hotkeys button is to open it up in to show everybody the hotkeys? It looks like we might have changed our UI there. Anyway, the important ones are the key R and I on your keyboard. This will add to the research list. If I press R, it'll add the top entry to my list. And I can quickly go through, I can press R or I to ignore. The other hotkey, Z, will undo. So that's a nice little undo button there.
Z for us Canadians and Brits.
Z for Canadians. The hotkey C as well, because sometimes you'll have, let's say, Bertillon is a character in my book, and I actually want to add him to my character guide when he is at the top of the list. So I'm just going to move him all the way up.
The hotkey button was a miss in the new UI. So it will be added in the next release.
Perfect. Yep. So it's an iterative thing, updating
You can
technology.
you can show it in back to old UI, but
Oh, of course, yeah. Yeah, I am in our new UI, so if this does look a little bit different, if you are in our old UI, you might see something like this. And let me go to the pronunciation guide. Here's our hotkey button. So you'll see these are the hotkeys. They're very helpful. So I would recommend kind of familiarizing yourself with these, especially the ignore word in all projects option here. So when you're adding words or removing words from your list, there is an option here to ignore word in all projects. And I'd recommend that you use this on any word that you know you will not ever need to research, because that's going to tailor make your next suggestions list on every future project. If you use this, and you can press the letter T to do it quickly instead of clicking here, and then ignore word in all projects, you can just press T. So for Bertillon, let's say he's a character, I'm going to press C, and that is actually going to move him to my character guide, which we can see he's been added here now. And for CCH, I'm going to press T, and that's going to make sure that acronym is never suggested again in any future project. So a very small quality of life thing there.
Good question here from Margaret. Will you cover pronunciation of acronyms? In my current book, one that is said many times is SNCF, which is spelled out. Almost every time it appears in the proofing, it is flagged as a mistake. I don't want to filter it out or ignore it because sometimes I might say the letters in the wrong order, and I would like to correct that. Can I teach pause in the prep how to pronounce this acronym? So, very clear. What you add to the script prep tools, specifically pronunciation, does not influence what our algorithm is expecting to hear in proofing. And the reason is in the example of shaman and shaman, for example, people can pronounce that two separate ways. Every Pozotron user uses the same algorithm. It is not customized per user. We'd love to get to that point eventually. But if one user had the ability to tell Pozotron, no, it's not shaman, it's shaman, that would change it for everybody. So eventually, we'd love to get to the point where people can tell Pozotron what to expect to hear. But the scan occurrences tool is exactly why we've built this. So you can listen to Margaret every time you've said SNCF and then flag them all as mistakes, some of them as mistakes. And then we are adding the ability very soon in scan occurrences to actually mark things as okay as well using this. So if you do have this example, and Johnny will go into scan occurrences in a little bit, it is the example where you can use scan occurrences to listen to every time SNCF, or one example with a customer I can remember who is likely on the call. I won't mention him by name, but the shaman example was what he had said to me. He is not on the call, but that's another example. So we will go into scan occurrences and also the script sync tool is
Mm-hmm.
another way that as well.
Yep, that's another thing I was going to add. The script sync tool it'll help you in the fact that when you're proofing, you'll be able to hear the intended pronunciation regardless of what our proofing algorithm is expecting you to say. So we'll get to that soon, Margaret. Thanks for the question. Alrighty, so that's the suggestions list. So using the hotkeys, using the sensitivity slider, and using this ignore all word in all projects is a great way to make this suggestions list work better and better for you each project you use in Positron. So keep those things in mind. Once you're done with the suggestions list, and I will say it is useful to clear this out entirely. Especially if you're working with a prep script versus a final script. So if you get a preliminary script from your author that you can start prepping, but they might make changes and give you a new script later. If you add that preliminary script in here, add all of the words from your suggestions list, ignore all the words so that this is down to 0 instead of 29. You could then re-upload your final script to this same project, and it will update this list based on the new script and keep all of your old research. So that's a very useful advanced feature if you have, prep scripts as well. That's it on the suggestions list. Lastly, next I'll show you how to add your own words. So you can obviously add any word you want to research up here. So I could add the name Dinah in here. And this is an example where some words are not going to be found in Merriam-Webster or Oxford or anything like that. And so the first thing I want to be your first course of action is to click this cloud button. And this cloud button is great. It's going to show you, like I said, everything that it finds online, including things in your own pronunciation dictionary. So this word I've actually researched previously and put this into my custom dictionary, which I'll show you later in the webinar. But this means I can just add this to any project I want and use research I've done in the past in a future project. Now, let's say this actually came back blank. So I'm going to clear this all out. So it says no phonetics again. The last ditch effort that we can, so if the cloud button doesn't provide a good pronunciation or it comes back empty as well, the last place to check is over on the right-hand side here, where you can search in Youglish, How'd You Say, OneLook, or Cambridge. These are all really great pronunciation resources. I think Youglish is the most popular. because this will scrub YouTube transcripts and bring you right to a video where somebody is saying the word Dinah. So this is just a website you can go to at any point, but it's very useful to see that here.
Dinah Washington.
Perfect. So there's a good example. And once I've found that, I'm actually going to copy the URL from Youglish, come back to my pronunciation guide, click the microphone button, press record, Dinah. I can actually record a pronunciation straight in there. And this is how I researched it previously, did something like that, and added that URL to Youglish as well, which if you add the URL, you will have a reference link right here, so you can refer to the original pronunciation anytime you want. So that is how to research a word in the pronunciation guide. Cloud button will probably be your best friend, so make sure you use that as much as you need. The next thing is how do you import words into Pozotron? So the main way people tend to use this tool, which we recommend, is to use our suggestions list first, go through all that information, add the words you want to research, and then if you're reading through the manuscript yourself, you can either add words that weren't suggested one at a time, or you can actually make a list of words and import, I believe it's up to 500 words at a time, or it's 200 words at a time. Okay.
200 currently, we are working. And the reason that that is because the way our pronunciation guide currently works is every time you add a word to the list, it automatically sends the request to Oxford, Merriam-Webster, whatever. If you add 500 at a time, that means we send 500 requests literally at the exact same second, and we don't control how fast we get that response back. So if Oxford's pipe for accepting API requests is this big, and we try and shove 500 requests into a pipe that can only handle 100 at a time or whatever the number is, the user's impact is everything looks like it's frozen. So
Hmm.
we are working on a way to improve that in our backend because we can't control how Oxford handles things or Merriam-Webster or whatever. But as of right now, it is 200.
Exactly. So 200 words is still a very large list. So if you do have a list of words, you can probably upload the entire thing at once. You'll just want to add them one word at a time. And I'm just thinking of random words, one word per line. If you have like a full name or something, let me add Johnny Freeman here. Anything on one line will be added as one entry into Positron. So if I hit save here, that'll add those words to the list, and you'll see Johnny Freeman comes in as one entry. So that's how to import words. The import list button's really easy to use. You can also import from Excel. So if you open this up, you can actually download an Excel sheet and fill in your Excel list here to import words. You can also import phonetic audio recordings. Now, this gets into some of the collaboration features, as you might receive a folder of MP3s from your author telling you how to pronounce their, made up words in their book. And if you want to pull those into Positron, one, when you're editing a word, you can upload audio to an entry one at a time. However, it's much easier and much faster to use this tool here. This allows you to drag and drop all of your MP3s or MP4s or M4A files. If you've recorded them on your phone and you want to import them to Positron, you can just grab them all and throw them into this upload window here. You'll just want to make sure that the file names are the same as the entry. So if I wanted to upload an MP3 for the word abortive, I would just need to make sure that my MP3 is named abortive.mp3. And if you have all of your files with that naming convention, just upload them all here, and it's a big time saver there. And that gets into our collaboration features. So moving forward, you can collaborate with anyone you want on these prep tools. It's really easy. You can simply use this share button up here to add them to your project. You can see I've already added Adam as a researcher. So you just put their email address in here, and you can add a role here. There's roles for pretty much any person that might be helping you on a Positron project. If you don't care what they access in your project. I would just make them a director. They can come in here and collaborate in any way. If you don't want them to have access to certain things like the proofing tool or the audio files you've uploaded, you'll want to inspect each one of these and choose the appropriate role. Like researcher can access the prep tools. So that's probably the most common one if you want them to access the pronunciation guide and things like that. But once they are invited, they're able to come in to your project, see everything here. They're able to edit things. And what's really nice is you're actually able to assign words to your collaborators. So if I needed Adam's help with, if I was doing a book and it had a bunch of, Canadian slang in there and I don't know how to pronounce it, I might invite Adam in here and I could assign him to particular words here. So if I have these words selected, I'll show you how to do it on multiple because it's much easier this way. I have 5 words selected. There's a little person icon over here, which is a little bit hidden. It's very small, but it lives right here. If I click that, I'll be able to assign Adam to, or anyone in the project, to these words. If I click that, I'll hit save. You'll see this A has appeared on each one of these. So when Adam logs in, he can come into the pronunciation guide and filter this list to see only the words assigned to me. And I haven't assigned anything to me. I'm webinars@pozotron.com, so you'll see this is blank. But Adam, if he logged in and went to that view, he would just see what he needs to help me with. He doesn't need to sort through 200 words, and it's a big time saver there. Mira, is the phonetic recording import also case sensitive? That is a good question, and I don't believe so, but Adam, maybe you know. When they're importing phonetic audio, if it's Johnny Freeman, capitalized Johnny Freeman, does it need to be matching in the file name?
I
That's a
don't
good
think
question.
so,
I don't
but
think
that's
so
a good
either.
question. And while you are doing this, I will test it. It'll take me 10 seconds, and I will let you
Perfect.
know.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks, Mira. We'll let you know in a second. And Dan has a question. Can you review bulk assign? Yeah, absolutely. So you're just going to want to select the words that you want to assign to somebody. So there's a little checkbox on each one of these. You can also select all and then unselect if you wanted to select the majority of them. But if I wanted to assign these words to Adam, I just select them here and then click this little person icon over here on the right-hand side. It says assign user. And this is how you assign a user to words. You can go to Adam, hit save. I'm going to go to our new UI as well because I think it looks a little bit better in there. Perfect. But yeah, Dan, that's how you do it. So you just assign them here. What's nice about this is you can also leave them comments. You can also communicate on these words. So I could say, hey, Adam, need your help with this one. Hit send. And there's a typo in there that will live forever on. But it's a really nice way to communicate about particular words. You'll see the little icon here shows with how many messages are on the entry, so it's easy to see if someone needs your help with something. A question from Mira: is it possible to see what the different roles look like on the other end? I shared my project to an author so she could approve/comment on the pronunciations and characters, but she got overwhelmed, so I'm wondering if the researcher would only show her those prep tools sections and the others would just not be there at all. So it's a good question. The user interface will look the same, but things might be grayed out if they don't have the permission to access this. So what I would recommend, and this leads into another collaboration feature. If you want it to be simpler for your author, some people aren't tech savvy and they don't have time to learn all about Pozotron and how it works. There's a share online packet button right here. And this is a really simple way to provide this list with your author or with a collaborator without sharing the project with them and having them make an account and all of that. So I'm just going to go to that URL, and this will nicely just show me everything on the pronunciation guide. They can listen to pronunciations.
Algorithm.
They can see the phonetic spelling. There isn't a way to edit any of this, so they could see this. However, if you just wanted them to be able to review and approve things, they can take a look here and then, email you separately on what needs to be changed if there are any. But this is a lot simpler than sharing this with them and giving them access to everything. However, I will say one last thing, the author role is a little more straightforward because this is going to prevent them from accessing anything but the prep tools. So they won't be able to click on proofing or scan occurrences or anything else. They will be able to view your pronunciation guide.
And one other thing you can do just to this point is in this example. So yes, when you log into Pozotron, it can be, so things are grayed out but when they initially click on the link to access the project, it'll take them to the main project page. You can actually just send the URL here, studio.pozotron.com, blah, 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 /research. If you even want, even easier. So Johnny, do we have anything assigned here?
Yeah, to you, I have some.
Nothing. Okay. What's your, let me just,
I could assign something to myself. That
you
would
are
be easy.
not able to assign something to yourself,
I
unfortunately.
You're not?
I don't believe so. You can try,
Well,
but
check it
oh,
out.
maybe you can. Oh, that's new then, because I've tried that before. So now
Yep.
if you assign something to yourself and now go to your filter
Oh, yep.
assigned to me.
Great point.
So Mira, you could actually, if you do use the assign, you could actually send this exact URL, studio.positron.com, blah, 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 /research, scope equals assigned. And that will only show them, the author, exactly the small number of things they need to pay attention to that you have assigned to them.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually we will get hopefully to the point where you can share it using the share feature that way. But for now, if you really want to,
Yep, so I could just copy this URL and I'll go
exactly.
here, I'll paste it. So you could
And
just email this to them. If I go to that link, that's going to bring me straight to the pronunciation guide and straight to that filter. So that's a
yes.
great point, Adam, and a great hack to make it a lot easier for people to collaborate.
Idiot proofing is the wrong way to describe it, but essentially that's what it is. It's,
Yeah,
if someone is not super tech savvy, has never used Positron before, make it as easy as possible for them. So two other
absolutely.
things. Mira's question, phonetic recording import is case sensitive. So
Hmm.
Lindsay, if you could make a note of that, that's maybe something we should review with the devs. And then Rick, if I am sharing with my author, do they need to have a Positron account or are they on my account? If you use the share button, yes, they need to have a Positron account. And that is because we need to control if someone logs into your project, they can download the script, they can download the audio file. If it is well, depending, if they log in and you don't control their permissions properly, and say it's an embargoed file that's an embargoed book that hasn't been released to the public yet and it gets leaked, that's not good for anyone. And so that's why we control access. There is no cost for them to set up an account and log in. If you do share your login credentials with someone, definitely do not do that. But we can't stop you from doing that yet. We are going to make two-factor authentication mandatory at some point to stop this from happening because it's for many legal reasons, but mostly to protect the IP uploaded to Positron, as most of you are not the author. I'm guessing it's for all of our mutual protection. So to answer your question, yes, they need an account. No, there is no cost.
However, if you just want their feedback and you don't need their help, like editing words and all of that, you can use this online packet because this does not require an account. This is just a URL that you can send them and they'll be brought here. They'll be able to see everything, but they won't be able to edit anything. So if they don't want to make an account or if that's an issue, you can use the online packet as well. And we've spent a lot of time on the pronunciation guide, so I will be moving on to the character guide now. The character guide is another prep tool, really useful when you're going to have to research and perform character voices in a project. So what this tool does, it works very similar to the pronunciation guide, but it's going to give you a suggestions list, and this list is just going to be characters. So what this will do is give you a place to add your characters to your character list or your research list. And I'm just going to add Sherlock here and show you kind of the main intention of this tool is to be a repository and storage place for all of your character descriptions, voice notes, and voice recordings. So you can even upload a photo as a reference photo. But for Sherlock, I'm going to enter, he is a brilliant detective who is rude, and that's good enough. And for voice notes, I could say he has a deep baritone, speaks quickly, with a London accent. And you can record voice samples as well. So this is a great place to store it. You can record as many samples or upload audio here that you're using for inspiration. Hello, Watson, blah, blah, blah. And I'll save that there. You could put in a URL or any other links you want to use. And I'm not an actor, so don't judge me too heavily for my accent attempt. But this is the kind of the intention of the character voices guide. What's nice about this will keep it all in one place. It also stores these characters for you to reference, especially if you're doing a series of audiobooks, having the characters from book one, moving them to book two, which is our transfer research functionality here. This allows you to never forget a voice, to have to re-research a character, and also to remain consistent throughout an entire series. So let's say I'm doing the research for Sherlock Holmes 1, and then and I don't actually know the titles of the, which is maybe I should, but let's say I'm now working on the sequel of Hound of the Baskervilles. Is that 2 or is that 1, Adam?
So A Study in Scarlet, The Sign of the Four, The Hound of the
Ah,
Baskervilles, and The Valley of Fear. According
ah,
to Sherlock Holmes Books in Order Google result,
hmm,
that is
good
there
to
you go.
know. Wow, Hound of the Baskervilles is book 3. Okay. So let's say I'm transferring research from book 2 to book 3 or book 1 to book 2. Using this import export transfer research functionality is very helpful here. If you open this up, you'll see you can choose any other project, and I can grab this voice as well as every word on my pronunciation list and put them all into the new project. A couple of things to call out on the character voices guide are these entries with the AI tag. Pozotron is moving in the direction of helping you research these characters proactively. And you'll see some of your characters will have this AI tag. And what this means is if I add them to my character guide, they will come in kind of pre-filled because Positron's also not only looking for characters, but looking for descriptions or descriptors of the character.
And just to
Um,
be clear, what is in Sherlock, I know you showed that earlier, is not pre-filled, but Gatsby, Valerie, and Daisy are.
exactly. Yep.
We would
Um,
love to get to the point where and we're hoping to get to the point where the AI gives details as specific as what's in Sherlock, but not there yet.
Exactly. For now, it gives you a great starting place with the gender of the character as well as how their dialogue is described in the book or the tone of their dialogue. So Gatsby speaks in an urgent, matter of fact, or distant way, according to what Positron could find. Valerie is flat, even, calm. Daisy, excited, seductive, low. So it gives you a great starting place to develop the voice. And along with these suggestions on any character, you can click this count button to see a snapshot of every occurrence of the character throughout the whole book. So you can kind of see where Positron can get its suggestions, as well as find your own descriptions to add. You can add on here their relationships and things like that, but it does give you a great starting place here. And if you do want to see if Positron was able to find any notes, there's a quick filter on the right-hand side to only view the AI generated character entries. So these are the ones that I did find additional research for. Yeah. And let me see, is there anything I am forgetting? View all occurrences, clickable links. Okay, clickable links is a kind of a new thing. This is a useful little feature. If you do put a URL into any of these, this was requested quite a lot actually. You can put URLs in the character description, in the voice notes, and they will be clickable right away. Let me just grab a URL right here and I'll just pop it in somewhere. Believe that. Yeah. So here we go. So any links you put in here will be clickable. So if you do have other sources of information that you want to store on a character, it's easy to do so with links there. And Mira, is there a way to disable the AI fill-in? It has often been wrong. Well, that's an interesting request. I don't think we can turn it off right now, but if it does come in and you don't want its notes, I could just delete that right away, and that'll keep it blank there. Um,
But I will add that to our dev team now that you can disable the API stuff. It shouldn't,
yeah,
in theory, be all this difficult. But
very
yes,
true.
thank you.
Thanks, Mira.
Johnny, did you show, sorry, I was just responding to a customer email. Did you show the ability to how you can go about and verify based on the mentions of the word? So if you see like
Not
Jen,
exactly, yeah.
you did,
So
or you did not?
not really. So that's a good way. It's a good point. So let's say Valerie here has been described as flat, even, calm. The count button here will show you every mention of this character, and you can see right away, since there's only 6 mentions for Valerie. Valerie speaks, her voice flat and even. So that is the kind of thing Positron's looking for, where it's not making anything up, it's just grabbing direct descriptions of the voice or their dialogue from here. So yeah, and Mira, that's a great point to you. If you do have any of these entries that you want to verify, we recommend you do verify them. And you can do so easily with that count button here to kind of see, yeah, see their quick snapshot of how they are depicted in the book. Great point. Thanks, Adam. And all right, moving on. So I've already talked about transfer research. The only other thing I didn't mention was aliases. So aliases are a great feature in here. Did I get rid of Sherlock? Where'd he go? Oh no. Okay, good. So Sherlock is here. And Sherlock is often referred to as Holmes or Sherlock Holmes or Mr. Holmes or whatever. And this is important for the next step, which is the export mark script. Oh my gosh, I just realized we're 45 minutes in and not through most of the webinar. So I will be speeding this up here. But aliases allow you to add another name that someone might be referred to as. So I can add Holmes here. And then Sherlock, I would just add Holmes to his character. And now Positron knows whenever it sees Holmes, whenever it sees Sherlock, it knows it's referring to the same character. And this is useful for our last prep tool here, which is export a marked script. If I export this, that is going to download a PDF, which it opened up here. Did it open up automatically? Yes, it did, which is very cool. So what the marked script is going to do is highlight in yellow any word on my pronunciation list. And I put table on there, which is really not a very difficult word, but it does show you, it will pull in the phonetic spelling, as well as the link to Merriam-Webster or wherever you got your audio from in the comment here, which is very nice. And for Sherlock or Holmes, it's going to have the comment contain their voice notes, their character description, and links to their voice samples. So it's a really easy way to get a head start on marking up your script here. And those are the 3 main prep tools. So as you can see, when we do a masterclass going into every little feature, there's quite a lot to them. But let me pull up our slides and go through the next here. So this is the export mark script. Okay, I'll show you script sync next. This is a great feature for after you have done your proofing or after you've done your recording and you're now proofing your audio files. If you have used our pronunciation and character guide tools, I'm going to go into the Sherlock Holmes chapter here, highlight pronunciation and highlight characters. You'll see there's a script sync button up here in the top left. And this kind of goes back to, I forget who had the question. It was, I believe, Margaret. If you have a question on a particular word that's in your script, like an acronym or something like that, and I've researched it. So in my pronunciation guide, I put in the pronunciation. While I'm going through the proofing, if it comes up in here, like Sherlock has, so and it works for characters as well, I can easily see the pronunciation of Sherlock.
Sherlock.
So I can confirm that the name was said correctly.
Mr. Sherlock Holmes, who was usually...
So I can confirm that easily just by clicking on this entry. I will see the pronunciation and character notes actually come up in front of me, so I can verify that, as well as the voice notes, so I can listen to a line of dialogue by Sherlock.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
And click on Sherlock to actually listen to the voice note. Hello, Watson, blah, blah, blah. Well, those sound like very different actors, but that means I can confirm that this line was said in that character's voice. So it's a very powerful way to have more accurate proofing. And yeah, Margaret, to back to your point, if you had that acronym in here, it would be highlighted every time it comes up. You'll be able to listen to the way you said it and then the way you plan to say it in the pronunciation guide. What's nice about this feature as well is you can, just by clicking and highlighting dialogue here, you can also download audio or create an audio snippet. So if I wanted to replace or add this line of dialogue to a character, I just click and highlight it, go to characters, go to Sherlock, and it's going to grab that snippet. If I click Sherlock now, you'll see there's 2 voice lines here, so I can actually do this on the fly.
Well, Watson, what do you make of it?
And I have that line saved now. So for every other line of dialogue, I can compare it to, which is probably better than the first. Alrighty. Well, let's move it along. I don't know if we'll be able to get through it all by 1 o'clock, but I'll go kind of speedy through the rest of these. So scan occurrences is a part of our prep tools. So if you pay for the pronunciation and character guide, you will have access to the scan occurrences tool. And Ray, can you customize the appearance of the script markings? And I assume you're talking about the script sync here. This doesn't have any customization available now, but if you do have any requests or ideas, we'd love to hear it because that could be really useful. So let us know what you'd like to see. But the scan occurrences tool is the last tool that's technically a part of the prep tools. This is a tool that is used primarily after you've recorded and during the proofing phase. But you can see it grabbed every word from my pronunciation guide and my character guide. And it's actually scanned my audio files. You can see Holmes was found 20 times in audio. And what this allows me to do is click scan, and I can listen back to every occurrence of this word.
Chapter 1.
And it's actually going to play me a little clip of each time I said Holmes throughout the entire book. 1, to make sure and verify consistency throughout the project. But 2, if there is an issue, it makes it really easy to find and correct these. It gives you the chapter, gives you the exact timestamp when it was said, and I can even select these and either mark them as a pickup or export DAW markers straight away. So very helpful there. Next is the custom dictionaries. So after you've done a bunch of research in Pozotron, it's important to organize it, to keep your data. So if you ever come across a particular word again or a particular character, you can reuse your pronunciation and character data. So from any project, there's buttons here to add all words from the pronunciation dictionary or transfer all words to the pronunciation dictionary. This is going to allow me to grab all of these words and save them to my account. So if I transfer all of them here, it's going to add new words, gives you some options here. If I press transfer all, that's going to take this pronunciation guide. And once it's done, I'll show you where it goes. Perfect, finished successfully. So now if I go to my dashboard and come down to pronunciations, this is the custom pronunciation dictionary. You'll see I've got a whole bunch of words in here saved from different projects. And also you can do the same thing with characters. So I can save all the characters I've done in previous projects and be able to reference them at any time to hear their samples and their descriptions. Just makes it so your research is never going to accidentally get deleted and is always going to be available to you. So I'd recommend using those on your projects. And making sure your research stays with you. It also allows you to mass import and export between projects. The very last thing before I hand it over to Adam is just a quick look at your profile settings. So if you click your email up at the top right and go to my dashboard, there's a bunch of different settings in here that can influence how your projects work in Pozotron. And under the main settings icon here, just a couple of nice quality of life customizations here, such as picking your default dictionary. So you don't need to change it every time. If you have a favorite, you can just use it right away. Your ignored research words. So these are the words that you have pressed T on when you're researching or clicked ignore in all future projects. You can also add as many words as you want to this list manually from here. And lastly, disabling or enabling the automatic population of pronunciations. Only thing I didn't mention is the population of user selected pronunciation data. So this is data that is Because Positron, if you research a word in one project and you add it to another project, it'll automatically use the research you've previously done. If you want to turn that off, you can do that here. And those are your profile settings. And hopefully all of that made sense with how quickly I was going through it. But now, Adam, I'll pass it over to you. Perfect time because I need some water.
Awesome. All right. So we'll go quickly over what we're working on. So we've been talking about this a lot, the Posit prompter. It is getting closer and closer. The first step of this is basically allowing you to do your full read of the book inside of Pozotron. So it is a screen where you have the actual book text in the middle, your pronunciation guide on the left, or the character guide on the right, or vice versa. And it allows you to, as you get to a character, as you're doing your full read, double click on the name Johnny, add it to character list. You come across a word you don't know how to pronounce, like Posiprompter, you can add that to your pronunciation list. If you come across a cue about that character, Johnny spoke in a dulcet baritone, which no one's ever said about Johnny before, you can click and highlight that section of the text, press a button, and it'll automatically add that to your notes about the character. So it's really trying to integrate your full read of your book, part of your script prep, into all of the Positron tools, just so you don't have to, duplicate work ever. Improvements to scan occurrences that we're making. First one is currently you can only sort scan occurrences. So in the example, you have 17 mentions of the word SHAMAN, and currently you can only sort them first to last in scan occurrences. But let's say 7 of them you say shaman, 10 of them you say shaman. We're building a way where you'd actually be able to group them phonetically. So how Positron has heard your pronunciation. So you'd be able to show the 7, well, now I don't remember exactly how I said it, but 7 shamans, 10 shamans, and listen to them in that order. So that's something we're working on. And then also it has been requested, not a lot, but a couple times, we do have a workaround that would allow you to do this, but it's a bit messy, where you could actually do scan occurrences across multiple projects. So let's say you've got a whole book series, you would be able to, in theory, as long as we can make it work technically, be able to listen to all mentions of a character name or something like that across multiple different books, multiple different projects in Positron. Improvements, giving feedback about the accuracy of the pronunciation specifically from our API dictionaries. Forvo does this. So Forvo actually, because it is crowdsourced, they do have essentially like an accuracy or quality rating, and we serve those, and those are, because it is crowdsourced, voted on by the people who are using Forvo. And so we actually serve the first entry you see from Forvo is their highest rated one. They don't have that in Oxford and Merriam-Webster. And so we are working on a couple ways where we would be able to give feedback on what we are receiving to better inform which one you should choose. Improving AI descriptions, that's a big one. We are really working to optimize and improve the way we use AI to make you more efficient and more accurate and work faster, not to replace you, but that is something that we are actively working on. Things like being able to export a table of contents, being able to export a chapter summary, including a rough 1 paragraph about what happens in the plot and which characters speak. Those kind of things that we think would be very, very useful. That is something we're working on. Improvements to how we detect on specific to your pronunciation guide suggestions, compound words, hyphenated words, and foreign words. And as well, I think we are working a little bit on acronyms as well, so that's something we're doing. Currently, page numbers have limited functionality if you upload a Word manuscript compared to a PDF. So we are working to add that functionality, and that's just a limitation of a few things relating to both how Word documents and Positron work. So that's something we're working on to be able to replicate the page number functionality with PDFs that you have in PDFs with Word documents. And then also the ability on your research list to either add all words on your suggestions list to your dictionary or ignore all words on your suggestions list. So that's probably going to come out sometime between 3 and 6 weeks from now. And then we're just continuously rolling out our new UI across all of Positron. It's end to end will have taken us about a year because we basically have to rewrite every page UI from scratch. But you'll continue to see improvements to the UI to make it look a little prettier, but more importantly, be a little more user friendly because the UI hadn't changed for a very long time, and we added a ton of functionality during that time. So the thing about it's like if you have a completed house and then you want to add two floors or a couple rooms, it looks pretty messy. You kind of look like the Weasley's house, the Burrow from Harry Potter. You just kind of slap stuff on top, and then you have to redo it to make it look pretty afterwards. So that is everything coming soon to our script prep. And as always, if you have any suggestions or questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thanks so much, Adam. Well, to wrap it up, we are at the end of the hour. Just wanted to leave you with a couple of notes. If you do need help ever, please reach out to us. There are a couple resources that I wanted to highlight here, which is our knowledge base and our tutorials section. So from Pozotron, if you ever need help, this little help button right here either can request support with us, you can book a meeting with Adam or myself or anyone from our team if you'd like to discuss something. We're always happy to jump on a call. Tutorials will lead you to our tutorials page, which are short videos that give you reminders on how all of our major tools work. And then if you have a specific question about billing or something like that, the Help Center can probably answer your question here. Just type in your question here. We put a lot of articles up there. But don't ever hesitate to get in touch with us. We're always happy to help answer your questions. And that is pretty much it. So hopefully you learned some new things today about the prep tools and how it can improve your workflow. Hopefully there's a couple golden nuggets that you can take back and make yourself more efficient. But that's it. That's all we got. So hopefully it helped. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep. Elias, that's great. Thank you very much. I'm glad it was helpful. We'll let you go. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and have a great weekend.